Hi guys, good morning. 8:23 a.m. Eastern Time. So we are 6 minutes and 30 seconds ahead of the CPI number. Hopefully the numbers will come out despite the US shutdown. So let's brace for that. Anyway, what are the numbers that we are facing this morning? And then nothing spectacular. So the S&P yesterday, the S&P 500 closed up 0.58, the Dow Jones 0.31, and the Nasdaq on the back of the strength in semiconductors up nearly 0.9. In terms of the futures this morning, you can clearly see futures are up in the S&P 0.3, futures are up in the Nasdaq 0.5, and the Dow Jones futures are up 0.17. In terms of interesting earnings this morning, nothing spectacular, so it's not like we're facing any Tesla this morning, nothing like that. We'll wait for those big seven, the rest of the big sevens earnings report next week. I think it's going to be next Thursday and Friday. Okay, so Bitcoin up 0.1%, Ethereum up 0.2%, and the rest of the crypto market is up. There's another pullback, and now really gold is in danger of losing the 4,000 level. That will be major. Natural gas, nothing spectacular there. Oil is still moving higher, another 0.6% on the back of the Russian let's not call it embargo, but definitely can call it Russian two biggest oil producers from Russia being sanctioned by the Trump administration. In the futures market, nothing. Hence, we await the move on the CPI number. So the expectation is for the CPI, the core CPI, to stay at 0.3 and month over month 0.4, and the yearly inflation rate at 3.1%. Anything above will be bad for the markets. Anything below will be maybe a potential move higher with another 0.5%, 1%. We're basically trading for months now in a row at all-time highs, then pulling back a bit and moving back higher and pulling back. So that's the ritual. So that's with regard to U.S. markets. Elsewhere in the world, you can clearly see the map. A little bit of red in Europe, in Germany, France, and Italy, but the numbers are very, very shallow. On the other hand, Asia was mainly green. Shenzhen 2%, Hang Seng 0.74, and Nikkei closed already, obviously, and 0.35. Okay, so 3 minutes and some change to the news. You know what? Let's move to the S&P 500 and watch the real price action. Okay, ETFs, S&P. That's the S&P 500, and we'll move to let's see. Let's move to the 5-minute chart and include now the price action in the pre-market. Okay, so this is how we see it. All you're seeing right now, guys, is the 5-minute S&P in the pre-market. Let me tighten things up a bit. You know what? Let's move to the 10-minute chart so you're able to see yesterday's price action as well. So this is the gap up in the pre-market. The close yesterday at 671.76. So basically we're up. Okay, looks nice. Let's see where we're heading. If we're heading anywhere with 1 minute and 35 seconds ahead of the CPI number. Keep in mind that the volumes are very, very low. This is the pre-market session, but we do expect volumes to really pick up, especially if the number is going to be in any direction, up or down, away from the estimates, which are, like I said before, 0.3 on the core and 0.4 on month over month. So we're watching the videos, but mainly the price action. Again, I'm not suggesting any trades right now. Obviously, this is a super aggressive environment. Most likely, we will come bucking the trend and continue higher as we are used to, basically on the CPI numbers lately. Okay, 30 seconds. Obviously, a big number, a big miss up or down will affect not only the equity markets, it will affect the crypto markets, it will obviously affect the bond market, it will affect the forex market. So a wave can be created here that will wash across all global markets or asset classes, but let's see. Okay, looks like inflation came in below expectation. Okay, that's a surprise. That's a spike up, that's a positive. We spiked up 0.5%. That's from 674 to 677. That's $3, which is 0.5%. Wow. Actually, the numbers came way below expectation. 0.2 on core CPI and 0.3 on month over month. So again, nice reaction from the S&P, now pummeling higher. And normally we don't see such a big miss, but this is a big one. I mean, not even 0.25. It's a 0.2 on the core CPI and 0.3. and 3% instead of 3.1 on year over year. Okay, so that's it. I mean, that's not good news for the US dollar, but let's see if it's probably very good news for crypto, good news for equity markets, and basically that will not put a dent. This CPI number won't put a dent in the rally in the US equities, not to mention the potential now of maybe another quarter percent move in the rate decision, which is coming up next week. I don't know how many of us are surprised by this miss, but it's a surprise on the positive side. Obviously, nobody wants to see inflation picking up. Those who bet against the market, they keep losing this year again and again. Okay. Let's see the rest of the futures here. Sorry, no, it's not actually the futures, because we're already trading the pre-market. So the semiconductors ETF SMH, which is the most important ETF in the markets, as you can see here, up nearly 2%. This number is great for semis, and I think this is the best performing iShares. That's the small cap index, nearly 2% as well. That's energy, clean energy, 2.6%. I don't know if it has to do only with this move on the S&P 500. Let's see if we have anything on the negative side. Not really. Banks. Okay, XLF up 0.67. That's sorry about that. Okay, guys, that's it by now. We're gonna come back in about let's see, 45 minutes or 40 minutes at 9:20. Actually, it's gonna be more like 48 minutes. At 9:20, recap what happened in the pre-market. Get ready for the trading session, which obviously starts at 9:30. We'll review some gap uppers or stocks that are gapping down, and the stocks that are are most likely to be interesting to watch heading into earnings season. So see you in about 45 minutes. Okay, guys, so we are 12 minutes ahead of the open. Let's review the results, or the positive result of the move higher in the S&P futures, Nasdaq futures, and Dow futures, and their impact on the US equity markets. I mean, all the leading indices obviously are gapping up. Inflation, the inflation numbers came, well, let's put it this way, way better than expected. 0.2 on the monthly rate and 0.3 on month over month, and down from 3.1 to 3 on the overall yearly rate of inflation. So that's actually good news. That's why we saw this nice pickup in the trio of leading indexes, and in this case I'm looking at the futures. The rest of the market reacted pretty much the same. Gold is up. Weakness in the dollar means gold is up. Bitcoin is up, following the number, the CPI number. Ethereum is up. Basically, we had a move down in the T-bills, but overall commodities are up. Anything that's working against the dollar, which moved lower, the euro is obviously up, not substantially, but up also as a result versus the dollar. I didn't see any effect actually in the actually a minor effect in the European indices, because we saw ahead of the move both the DAX, CAC, and Italy were in the red. DAX turned now positive, and basically we have a pretty much flat session in Europe. Let me see Canada. I don't have. Do we have Canada here? Okay, the TSX is actually, that's yesterday's number. I don't have the TSX futures. Following the new feud, or I don't want to call it feud or mini feud, again between Trump and the Canadian authorities, whatever they are. If you're going back to stocks, 3 stocks that reported earnings that I'm going to talk about: PG up 3%, Sanofi up 4%, General Dynamics up 4%, and now the big one, INTC, Intel. And let's move to the chart of Intel. Hold on a second, guys. Intel is up in the pre-market, as you can see. Hold on, INTC up 6%. So the turnaround in Intel, and you're watching now live the pre-market action. So you can clearly see the move here on the CPI number. Now we're pulling back, but obviously nice gap up and go now in INTC. If we're looking at the daily chart of INTC, you'll see, guys, that we are basically at 18-month highs. Let me bring it back 18 months. Hold on a second, it will be easier to see a higher resolution. So this is INTC, and we're coming back to basically March or April prices of last year. So 18-month highs for INTC, which is doing a great job since that I would guess, I would dare say, amazingly lucrative deal that they signed with Nvidia like less than a month ago. So INTC riding higher. That was clearly one of the worst, if not the worst, performing semiconductor stock. So things are turning around for Intels. I would watch for INTC for an intraday move. Talking about an intraday move in INTC, it's not the most volatile stock, but on a day like today, following earnings, it can go sharply both ways. So it's a legit short as much as it is a legit long. Now trading, as you can see, above $40 at 40.40 and up nearly 6% at this point. So Intel should be, anybody that's day trading or looking for a short-term move should be on your watch list. In terms of additional entries on the daily chart and risk taken there, it looks a bit extended after moving up nearly 50% in the last month. Sorry. So we are 8 minutes ahead of the open. One thing that we want to review, or one other sector that we want to review is the gap uppers. Okay, so let's go and check on that. The pre-market longs, and see which stock or which sector is doing amazingly well, if any. We have GNTA, probably a biotech stock, I'm not sure, up 200% in the pre-market. INBX up 69%. NXT, I think this one is clean energy, not sure about it, up 12%. BKKT, that's financial markets. SLM, I don't remember any SLM, which sector it belongs to. I think financials, but I'm not sure. So we have BKKT, SLM, Nexty, Irene, it's energy, and CIFR, it's mining. So those are the stocks that are dominating with amazing moves in the pre-market. GNTA is obviously, let's take a look at GNTA, Genta Sciences. You know what? Let's take a look and see if it is indeed a biotech stock. Is an early stage company which engages the development of first-class cell and gene cancer therapy. Yeah. Okay, so it is a biotech stock. And again, are they going for, or there are some great news? Let me see. Maxim Group Sciences, Genta Sciences with a buy rating. I guess there are some very good news. Reports, so the news are Genta Sciences reports progress in glioblastoma and renal cell carcinoma trials involving temferon. So I don't know what it means, but if you are a doctor, you probably know. Anyway, the analysts in the biotech sector know exactly what they're talking about. If we go back to the chart, let's go back to the yearly chart in this stock. So this move here definitely brought it to now 7. The price now is 7.29 ahead of the 5 minutes ahead of the US Open. So that's clearly yearly highs for the stock. Volumes are not very great. Let me see the free float. Wow, the free float is very, very shallow. So only 12 million shares are available to trade here on this stock. That's actually a micro cap. I will be very cautious again, not because the poor liquidity and the combination of being poor in terms of liquidity and also a micro cap. So that's not something that I would advise. But again, that's not my position. Let's take a look at SLM, up 10%. That's probably on earnings. Sally May is over again. Overweight at Morgan Stanley. Let's see if there are any additional news that we can read and make a sense of this 10% move. Yeah, after better than expected Q3 results. Anyway, the profile of this company engages the provision and administration of education loans. So less rising delinquencies and positive outlook for SLM amid rising delinquencies and strategic partnership. Okay, I mean, let's not argue. The stock is up. That's the 3-month chart. So the stock is picking up nearly from the lows of the year. It's a very liquid stock. There are 200 million shares in circulation. Definitely valid for a day trade or a swing trade, as opposed to Genenta, which is the symbol that we discussed a couple of minutes ago. Anyway, so we have eyes on INTC, eyes on Intel, eyes on PG, SNY, and GD. All those to the upside. I don't have anything to the downside. Keep in mind, we're gapping up today because of the CPI number. We may see actually a day, I'm not going to guess on that, but that's definitely a possibility that we're going to see a continuation to the upside throughout the whole trading day, or at least until volumes will subside after the lunch session. Okay guys, thanks for watching and being here with us. Do like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you obviously in our next video.